continue to have issues.
All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here at Michigan. In advance of Sunday's Consumers Energy 400, we are joined by Erik Jones, driver of the number 20 Doosan Toyota, who is a Michigan native. We're here at his hometown track. We will open it up to questions for Erik. We'll start right here with Matt, then we'll go to Rob.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. I've got two questions for you. The first one, what did you learn in Ann Arbor yesterday, and what did the button do?
Yeah, it was cool, to see the R&D center down there in Ann Arbor. I've never been down to Toyota's. I've been to a few plants, and I've been to a few other headquarters down in Plano, Texas, and the old one out in California, but never to the R&D center here in Ann Arbor. So it was just cool to see what they do there, and really a lot of the development that comes out of there that kind of transfers over to the entire, a majority of the Toyota lineup that's out there in the U.S. right now. And also to see some of the stuff they've done for racing too. Some of the lead engineers there for Tundra are there. They've done some stuff with the Camry, so it was just neat to see what was involved. The button was for show mostly, but we got to see a crash test down there, so that was pretty cool. I've never seen a crash test in person, and I guess they don't do them often, so that was kind of neat. They set that up for us.
My other one is you've been racing Chase Elliott for a long time and probably know him pretty well, at least compared to other people in the Cup garage. What is your interpretation of how he has evolved, not necessarily as a driver, but just the way that he handles adversity and expectations and pressure, stuff like that?
Well, I think, Chase is in a tough position, obviously being a second-generation guy more so than others. Obviously he's under a big expectation of how he's expected to run and win races early and quickly, and it took him a few years, and it seems all guys a few years now. I mean, it's just not as easy to find an advantage, find an edge, and it's not easy to beat the guys that have been here for a long time. So I think the talent in the Cup Series is just, it's higher than the depth is probably higher than it's ever been. So it's just challenging right now, but I think he's done a good job of handling adversity and rolling through a lot of close calls and finishes, and that's not an easy thing to do as a driver when you come that close, but he's done a good job managing it and managing expectations from the outside pressure and finally getting that first win.
We'll go to Rob and then to Troy.
Rob Tiongson of the podiumfinish.net. Erik, this month is the Kids Drive NASCAR initiative. So first of all, as a young driver, how important is it for you to connect with the young fans in conjunction with the existing fan base? And secondly, how much easier is it to come to Michigan knowing you already got your first win and you don't feel that pressure every time when we ask you, do you have to win at Michigan to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me to get the younger fan base involved. I've always kind of taken the extra time, I guess, to try to get the young fans interested in racing, and even, people more my age, around the college age, going there and doing some visits and meeting students and trying to get them out to the racetrack and experiencing it once before. But secondly, just being locked in the playoffs is big. I mean, we all want to be a part of the playoffs at some point and race for a championship. And, coming back here with only 4 races now left to the playoffs and not having to worry about it is definitely a good feeling. We were in a good spot to point our way in, and now looking at how the season's gone since Daytona, we probably would have done it pretty easily, but it's still nice to show up at the racetrack and not have to worry about it each week.
Go to Troy.
Thank you. This is Roy Akers, Detroit Sports Media. Erik, with your win, Chase's win, Ryan won last year, do you starting to see kind of a changing of the guard in the circuit where maybe you guys and maybe even another driver might be that big three? I mean, you guys have got a lot of talent. You're running in the top 10, seems like consistently top 15 every time. Can you see that evolution amongst the young drivers?
Well, I think that's where we all want to be at some point, is in that fold. But it takes time. I don't think where any of us are there yet. I think we all are capable of winning more races this year. Maybe not on the same basis as what those big 3 guys have done. I mean, they've been consistently winning a majority of the races. I don't think any of us are quite at that point yet, but I think we're definitely have closed the gap, at least over just this year alone, a large amount. So, that's a good feeling as a driver, and those guys are probably 3 of the most talented guys in the garage, and 3 of the guys, obviously, with this most long-term and solid driver crew chief pairings. So those are the guys you look at to kind of baseline yourselves off of, especially, myself being, teammates with Kyle. You want to run in the same level as him. And then as Martin as well, being a corporate teammate and having similar equipment. So it's definitely what you base yourself off of, and it's, definitely a goal for us to meet.
Eric, Greg Krupa, Detroit News. Thanks for your time. You might have answered the question just a little bit, but just now. But your career development this year, big year for you, making the move you did after last season. Did you sort of have things on a checklist maybe that you wanted to accomplish, improve on this year? And how's that going? And how are you feeling about your career moving forward from this year?
Yeah, it's been good. This year overall, we've made gains, I think, to where we want to be. We wanted to win a race and we wanted to make the playoffs, and we've accomplished those goals. There's still more to be done. Goals change even over the course of a year, and obviously you have to reset your goals after you've met them at some point. So, at this point, we want to continue to work towards it and just getting into the playoffs, make sure we can advance, at least a round or two. We want to make it to the 12 and hopefully to the 8. And that would be definitely the good season for us for sure. So I know we're capable of it, and I think this year we've done a good job of being in a better spot at this point in the year than we were last year. We were sitting on the outside looking into the playoffs at this point last year with a lot less top 10s and a few less top 5s. So we've done a good job of running better and getting some better finishes, and definitely being in the playoffs is a big step as well.
Any additional questions for Erik? We'll go up here to Bob and then to Lee.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Now that you've been on the track, is where they use the tire dragon is pretty much the same as the last time. Does it feel the same, or is it any different?
It feels similar to me. It's hard to tell much of a difference. I think the track overall has aged pretty well over the last few years, where it's not so line sensitive. Obviously, you don't see anybody running up in the third groove by any means, but it's definitely not to the point where if you get up there, you're probably not gonna wreck. So. I don't know that it's made a huge difference so far today. It'll be more interesting to see as the weekend goes on, and especially the truck race, what these guys can do tomorrow afternoon. But, it hasn't affected us yet too much.
Go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. And has the track changed much since you were just here? And how did your car feel when you went out today?
The track feels pretty similar to what we had here a couple months ago. But our car was off on balance. I think we were off on speed for sure. So overall, I think we know where we need to go, and I think we'll qualify fine this afternoon. But 3 runs, it's hard to get a balance. The car changes a lot over each cycle on tires, and you have to kind of manage that and manage where your car's driving. And we started off being pretty free, and just kind of tightened it up too much compared to where the tires went. So we feel like we know what we need to do. Obviously, our teammates were fast, so we've got something to look at there, and we've qualified pretty well this year, each and every week. So I'm not worried about it, but we're definitely off to start.
The tattoo, is there a story behind that?
It's my dad's signature. I've had it for a little while now, yeah, but my dad's signature.
Anything final for Erik? We'll go to Wolfgang.
Erik, you said earlier you visit a crash test for the first time in the plant. Was there anything what you can bring in from the racing driver point of view concerning safety to the engineering in road car design?
Well, I don't know if they take anything from us for racing. Actually, though, they've gave NASCAR a lot of things. They've got a crash dummy model called Thumbs, which I knew a little bit about before I went there yesterday. And actually, they've loaned it to NASCAR a few times, and it's a pretty comprehensive human model. It's not so much a crash test dummy where it's got a fully, designed set of organs and everything in it. So that was pretty neat. They've given that to NASCAR. I don't know that we've given them anything back yet, but you never know what the future will hold for that.